Hi Libra, welcome to your end of August 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. There's a new moon on August 30th, which is a week from when I'm recording this, at 6 degrees of Virgo. Virgo is your 12th house. So that could be a new beginning in some kind of spiritual pursuit, perhaps. If it's a, Venus and Mars are hooked up right now at an exact degree. I think it's actually the 24th, 25th, 26th, if you're watching then, Venus and Mars. So maybe that could even be like a soulmate type of relationship, although maybe it's more like a twin flames. With Mars, it could be kind of contentious. Speaking of contentious, right? Ooh, 2 major arcana cards in a row. Let's see, can we go for 4? I'm just gonna pick an additional card just because. Pick a couple. Okay. I've been getting a lot of cards that are, or readings that seem more like relationship oriented this time around. Not sure why. Maybe because of that conjunction of Venus and Mars. And of course the trains have to go by. So the heart of the matter is the Devil card, and this card actually connects with Capricorn, which is a favorite earth sign of yours. So maybe that's a Capricorn individual. Somebody wrote to me and said, can't it be, they were trying to think of something good with the Devil. Or something, they were trying to, think of another alternative. Boy, do I wish I could think of what that was, because it was kind of like a great alternate interpretation. Usually when I think of the Devil card, I think of the person being kind of like in a compulsive situation where they may be doing something because they're addicted to it. And I don't mean like a full-blown addiction, but that sense of bondage, like in the workplace, working someplace merely for the money, and yet it's having a negative impact on your life overall, or a relationship the same. But there can be different things. It could be a lustful situation that has gotten you ensnared in a toxic relationship, or you're with somebody who has a lot of money but you don't really love them, those kinds of things. And but I can't remember if that person was saying, can't it be this, and it was something positive. I'm not sure, but usually with the Devil, I mean, the name of the card is pretty self-explanatory. And I'm not that simplistic that I just say, oh, this is good, this is bad. The Devil card can actually be a positive card in the sense that it can show you where you are allowing yourself to be stuck because you've kind of fallen into a trap of accepting money over love, or money over true fulfillment in career matters. In the past position, we have the Strength card. Now, the Strength card is connected to Leo in terms of astrological signs, but we've had this Leo energy recently, and actually as I record this, we're going into the sign of Virgo, but I mean the sun, of course. The Strength card to me is almost like having endured something, you kind of realize your own, how would I put it, your own inner strength. And that is maybe causing you to kind of question some of these things that you've been doing. And, sometimes I think of the Devil card as like a narcissist. I really do. Because people will say it's like that kind of person is like a devil. Because they don't have a conscience. And they can hurt people without caring. And one of the things that I hear or read about when I think of narcissists, when I hear about narcissists, is that people are so upset that these individuals don't seem to care that they're causing the other person such pain. And the person cannot understand how a person can do that to a fellow human being. Forget about whether it's a love partner, but just anybody. How can a person hurt someone, especially somebody that cares about them? And really, the thing that you have to remember is that this person is highly damaged, and they don't have a conscience that a regular person does. Also, thinking of the devil, I mean, if you believe in such a thing, you might even think that they're possessed by a negative entity that is causing them to do things that are in darkness. And therefore, but it doesn't really matter. That's not really the point of trying to figure out why somebody does what they do. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day whether they were abused as a child, whether they are possessed by Satan or what. The point is that until they decide to, change their life, they're going to be dangerous to other people. If not physically, psychologically. And also, in terms of the devil, making a bargain with the devil, selling your soul to the devil. Obviously these are just sayings, but when you decide that you're going to ignore your own inner needs in order for money or for some kind of an inferior relationship, that is really like doing harm to yourself, because you're not honoring yourself. The higher message is the Hangman. The Hangman is a card of many things. Sometimes it can mean being in a state of limbo. This is a spiritual message, so it's looking at it from not the mundane perspective, but the higher perspective. I think in this case, the Hangman is a card of surrender. So as spiritual advice, it's telling you that you need to surrender. Just like when you have an addiction. Oh yeah, I should have just mentioned an addiction in general. Libra. I mean, if you have any kind of problem, whether it's with alcohol or other intoxicants, but also other compulsive behavior, the Hangman is about letting go and letting God. I'm pretty sure that's AA. And that's what surrender is. It's not giving up. not by a long shot. It's realizing when you're trying to do it from a human perspective. And I, sometimes have struggled with this idea of saying I surrender this to God, because I feel like we have to be able to do things on our own. But I think it means the ego, like letting go of the need to make yourself seem like you're okay when you're really not, and almost like admitting that you're out of control. And that's really surrendering, because your ego wants to feel like everything's okay, that you can handle it. You know what I mean? So it's really about admitting that you're powerless. And in doing so, you can actually begin to make headway, because you're not pretending that everything's okay anymore. And also, I think just the allowance of the spiritual influence to come into your life, can also be important. You may have shut out those things from your life if that has been a problem. By the way, when I talk about a relationship with a narcissist or other toxic person, it can be the same type of thing, where you feel powerless to change on your own. So it is almost like an addiction. What's crossing you is the Two of Wands. Two of Wands is about sometimes even just leaving where you are, relocating. But it, symbolically it can mean, moving on from where you are. And this is in the challenge position, so it's like you may know that you need to make this choice, but you can't. Or you feel like you can't. I'm not going to say that you can't, but you feel that you can't. And it's true, sometimes people know that they need to quit using, and they can't. They just feel like they can't in that moment, and they don't. But at the same time, there may be people who are ready, but they just can't take that next step. They don't know what it is. And to me, the Two of Wands is having that sense of direction where you're going to go. What's coming in is the Queen of Pentacles. Sometimes this can be advice. If you have a good relationship with your mother, you may be seeking her out. She may be a stabilizing influence in your life. In some cases, even if you do have a good relationship with her, maybe she never liked this person, and you have to eat a bit of crow, and you have to tell her that that this person wasn't good for you, but you couldn't hear it at the time. Maybe you're a mother and you need to think about your children. And not necessarily just in terms of a toxic relationship. It could be an addiction. It could be working in a place that maybe the devil card is your boss, and he or she is rubbing off on you in the wrong way, because they're just like into the money, and they're kind of like pushing you, and it's affecting your relationship with your children. The Queen of Pentacles is really kind of like, there's some grounding cards here, earthy kinds of cards. So maybe it's about getting back to basics. Maybe you have allowed yourself to go too far away from, too far from who you really are. So I got as an outcome card the Nine of Wands, but I didn't want to end here. I thought it was kind of anticlimactic. The Nine of Wands, you can see it's like a sentry waiting, kind of like guarding the gates. To me, if this is a relationship issue, it's about defining boundaries. But it can be, like, let's say with the Devil card, this is somebody that you have, already tried to stay away from. This could, the Nine of Wands could be saying that this person, that there's a good chance that they're going to try to come back. And if you're in a weakened state, if you have like recently, because the Strength card suggests that you have kind of built yourself up a little bit from this person and you're getting better. And so you have to like stay on guard, because there may be another temptation with this person coming back. And if this person is a narcissist, they're the kind of people that they have like a sixth sense about when you're getting stronger, and that's when they come back into your life, because that's the whole point. They're trying to destabilize you. And if you're thinking that you've kind of have kind of gone over the hump and you don't have to worry about this person again, be very careful, because you might be mistaken. Also, if you have been somebody that's been struggling with an addiction, you may feel with the Strength card that you're, totally good, and something can come out. And I think that this happens more times than we know, and it might be even like a spiritual test where you come into some circumstance where you're tempted to, where you're present, where you might be tempted to use again, and you have to take everything within yourself to avoid going down that route again. What you can do on your end, if this resonates for you in terms of addiction, Libra, is to avoid people, places, and things that can almost guarantee that that's going to come up for you. I'm always amazed when people think that they can just keep doing what they've doing, like hang around the same people, going out to the bars and clubs, all those things, parties, and that you're just going to be able to resist temptation. Maybe eventually, occasionally, but in that early stage when you're still vulnerable, it would be foolish to do something like that, because you're just making it harder. You're creating too much of a challenge for yourself that's unnecessary. Sometimes I think people do that because unconsciously they still have a desire for it. And you should just admit if you have a desire. Or just assume that you might be tempted, even if you think you won't. And protect yourself. And this goes for people too. Don't expose yourself to a person that you've had a kind of a addictive relationship with and expect to just kind of be detached, because it might not work out that way. So I picked an additional card, and I got the Five of Cups, another card that I tend not to end with. It's not just a question of a positive versus a negative card. It's like whether it seems like the kind of card that ends a reading, and it doesn't to me. The Five of Cups is a card of mourning a loss of something. Even an addiction, even a negative, I'm so sorry, even a negative relationship that puts you through hell, you still have to mourn the loss of that relationship because it was something that meant a lot to you at one time before it got to the worst stage. And I think the biggest mistake people make when they're in that type of relationship is to act like it was always bad, or conversely to over idealize that type of relationship. But I think people try to really trash a relationship like this because they're trying to get over it and act like, oh yeah, it was always bad. But there were probably great times, and there probably are things that are sad, that you're sad are over with. Same thing with any kind of addiction. It is like a love affair when you have an addiction, and you have to mourn the loss of it like anything else. And that simply means that you acknowledge that it served a point in your life, a purpose in your life, and that it wasn't done randomly, that there was a method to your madness. And that honors you because you realize that everything that happens to you, even the things that are very challenging, they're there to forge your character. And you should be proud of yourself, even when you have, seem to, really struggle. You still have made it. When I see the Strength card, I think of somebody who's come through the fire. I really do. And then I got the Empress. And the Empress is connected to Taurus, as well as Libra, your sign. And the common thread is the planet Venus. Actually, Venus should be on here somewhere. Or is that the... I don't know, that cross... Maybe that's just the Rider-Waite deck. I think they should have that on here. They have the Venus symbol. But this is the card of sensuality, of love, of motherhood. And so we have the Queen, like pregnancy. And so I don't know if some of you are going to find out you're pregnant, but basically the Empress is, the positive side of sensuality and enjoying the things in life that bring us pleasure. And the Devil is when that enjoyment is taken and distorted and abused. You can enjoy something that tastes really good, and you can become a glutton and you can overeat. You can't enjoy something by overdoing it. You will like lose your taste for it. The Empress is about the appreciation of these senses and what they represent to us, and also that connection to the Earth Mother. I remember having an argument with somebody online who probably was a Libra and saying, no, it's also connected to Libra, the Empress. And I was being stubborn about it because every book that I saw said just Taurus. And I had seen, the Earth Mother. Libra isn't an earth sign, but Taurus is. And then I finally saw something that also mentioned Libra. And so I said, well, I've got to admit it when I'm wrong. So I think I wrote to the person and apologized. But I still connect it with Taurus, with the earth energy. And basically, we have the Devil card also being an Earth, Pentacles. Isn't it funny that the Devil, that big old pentacle right there, and the Pentacles relate to the Earth signs, but the tangible things in life. And the Empress knows how to enjoy those things, but there's like a sense of respect, I think. The Devil can never get enough. And so I also would say, too, with the Empress is creativity. And we can create. It's also, that's why it's connected to children, because you can create children. But perhaps you have really wanted to do something creative, Libra. And some of you are very talented creatively, artistically. And you ended up going into a field that is more about making the big bucks. So hopefully I can encourage you to pick up that paintbrush, or to go to an open mic and do something along those lines, because that might be where the universe wants you, and not to sell your soul anymore, and to go towards love, because that's what the Empress, it's connected to Venus, and not just lust, but actually love. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.